Yet at the same time, McKinsey's also been doing consulting work for the Pentagon and for the U.S. Navy.
McKinsey's consulting contracts with the federal government give it an insider's view of U.S. military planning, intelligence, and high-tech weapons programs. But the firm also advises Chinese state-run enterprises that have supported Beijing's naval buildup in the Pacific and played a key role in China's efforts to extend its influence around the world, according to an NBC News investigation. Some official Chinese representatives weighed in on the report. Compelling. By the way, if you enjoy this, you may consider tuning in Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube or Rumble, where we do a daily show that covers the entire spectrum. But it's a comedy show. Today's a little more serious. Now, here's the issue. You can serve the American consumer and working man or woman or Z, or the Saudi Arabian government, or the Communist Chinese Party. You can't serve all of these masters. Which master is more powerful? Which one is dangling a bigger carrot? And McKinsey and company, as consultants, have potentially irreparably wrecked the American middle class.
Look what you did, you little jerk.
Now, to be clear, I'm pro-business, okay? There's nothing wrong with doing good business or making a profit. The difference is that starting in the 1970s, McKinsey and Company focused exclusively on shareholder profits with conflicts of interest, advised companies to hyper-concentrate management functions among elite executives.
I'm the captain now.
And production workers were also stripped of basic managerial functions. Downsizing happens, but this wasn't the result of market forces, business conditions, or even necessity, but a new managerial worldview from the top down. McKinsey partner John Newman wrote about the new business strategy in his memoir, saying, "The process, though swift, is not painless. Since overhead expenses are typically 70 to 85% people-related and most savings come from workforce reductions, cutting overhead does demand some wrenching decisions." Now, when IBM took their consulting into account and decided to remove lifetime employment, the officials there asked gun store owners near the headquarters to close their shops while, quote, employees absorbed the shock. So a lot of jobs gone forever that never come back, right? And that hurts upward mobility, class mobility, pay discrepancy. But here's the thing, it hurts class mobility because of a company with a worldview beholden to foreign governments who do not believe in the value of class mobility. According to the former consultant who spoke with us exclusively, the mentality pushed by McKinsey et al. Is definitely a contributing factor to the demise of the middle class. It pushed the idea that you have these uber powerful CEOs commanding the entire firm from the top and hollowed out the middle management. And this is a super important point, okay? There's a big difference between business owners, small, medium, even large business owners, and CEOs. CEOs may have had nothing to do with starting a company. They may not own that company at all. They are installed, glorified managers. And in the 1960s, this was largely recognized, and CEOs made about 20 times more than basic lower-end production workers. Today, it's about 300 times more. And who played a large role in making this fundamental shift? You guessed it.
Over nearly a century of work, McKinsey, they argue, has been instrumental in shaping parts of American society, from offshoring to securitized debt to CEO compensation.
One issue that is really troubling in this country, I think everyone would agree, is inequality. And McKinsey has contributed mightily to that. Going back, for instance, to 1950, when one of their consultants decided to look at how much executives were making versus how much the workers were making. And he concluded that, well, the workers are catching up, so maybe the corporations ought to figure out ways to pay the leaders more. Every year they built on that, more and more and more. And executives, the gap between what the leaders were making of corporations and the workers kept growing and growing and growing over the years.
Some of the cost-cutting initiatives that have come from McKinsey and Company have even quite literally led to deaths. In 1997, McKinsey advised Disneyland, California, to undertake a series of revisions in its maintenance department, including cut the budget by a quarter, cut the number of supervisors by half, cut the number of managers by a quarter, move the majority of maintenance to the graveyard shift. And here's the problem: you can still be pro-free enterprise and understand needing to streamline a business while recognizing the devastating effect on the American middle class that has been inflicted by companies who are setting out nebulous, arbitrary rules. Cut it by a quarter. Cut the number of supervisors by half, even though they don't understand the business model and may never have set foot on the grounds of said business, but are collecting money from all different directions, none of whom share the same values. There's a big difference. That is not free enterprise. One former Disney mechanic noted the issues that the changes caused, saying, "We could have 3 rides down at any one time while the park was open. One time, Indiana Jones went down for a dead vehicle. We responded to that. It was a computer problem. Then Peter Pan goes down. The supervisor said, go to Peter Pan, leave Indiana Jones alone. When we got there, people were hanging in the air on Peter Pan." Now, for reference, when hanging in the air onto a poorly maintained ride, happy thoughts do nothing. And sometimes those rides go wrong. You can clap as much as you want and believe as strongly as you can. A ferry's not going to show up, sprinkle some dust, and save you. Here's another example: September 2003. Disneyland's big Thunder Mountain malfunctioned, injuring 10 people and, unfortunately, killing 1.
When a ride mechanic failed to tighten 2 bolts on the wheel of a popular ride at Disneyland, and a manager failed to check the work was done before signing it off, it would set off a chain of events that would lead to disaster, with multiple injuries and one rider even losing his life.
Now, OSHA blamed poor safety protocols and poor training for the ride's malfunction. The same protocols which were a direct result of McKinsey's consultations, this company who probably has no business running a theme park. There was a former mechanic at the park. He described an interaction that he saw between one of their supervisors and a McKinsey representative. That must have been a fun day. When the consultant asked why the mechanics bothered checking the lap bars on Big Thunder daily when records showed that they had never failed, the supervisor reacted with disbelief. "The reason they don't fail," he said, "is because we check them every night." Let's contrast the McKinsey and Company representative versus a business owner. The business owner might ask his employee, if it is his own business, "Hey, why don't we do it this way? Can we automate it?" And if the employee says, "Actually, the reason we haven't had any failures is because this system ensures safety," "Oh, great. I don't want anyone to die. It's my business, and I probably won't have any more customers." There is no accountability, connection, or incentive long-term for McKinsey and Company to look out for this company, that person, more than the next company, or communist government. That's not free enterprise. And the biggest issue with firms like McKinsey is the elites in their ranks they're so far removed from the consequences of their consulting that they don't really have sympathy for real-world outcomes. The late Steve Jobs understood this all too well, and he was a fruitarian.
Oh, how many from consulting? Oh, that's bad. You should do something.
By the way, quick note, McKinsey & Company obviously has their claws probably right. If you're watching on YouTube, I'd recommend going to Rumble, but leave a comment or share this, hit like, it helps with the algorithm. Okay, uphill battle no matter where you go. Now that we're all caught up on what a piece of company, I use that word loosely, McKinsey is, let's rewind a little bit.
So our workforce is only becoming more diverse. Inclusion is only going to matter more. And so we really need our people leaders to lean into this.
Now, these two handsome individuals are Diana Ellsworth and Monet, spelled with 2 N's, Williams, both self-proclaimed members of the LGBTQ plus rated community. Diana is a partner at McKinsey's Atlanta office. According